Yeah. One second. Yep, we're good.
Okay.
Yeah. 1 second, coach. Got it. We are now on. I'll check it. Let's see here. No comments yet. And we got the delay, right? Yep.
Yeah, it should be a little bit of a delay. I don't.
That's
not
okay.
access any
I
tracking
have
to-
access to it. I have access to the comments. I'll pull them up, take a look at them.
I know that means that you have to do more than your fair share, but
Well, that's okay. I get paid the big bucks. Well, it is 6:01. I don't know who's out there in radio land. It is so gorgeous out there right now. I tell you, coach, it's hard to Zwift. Let me tell you that. I'll just say that. I know you got a philosophy on that, but I hope you can join us tomorrow. Are you looking to join us?
yes,
Or are you still got an appointment? Okay. Okay. All right. Hey, folks, thank you very much. We are live. Look at that beautiful weather I got here in Tahiti. We are live. I am Mitch Baker. I will be your host with our CTC Coaches Corner with Mr. Aaron Geiser, Coach Aaron Geiser. We got really great things to talk about today, very important things. And before we launch into the questions, Coach, I just want to take a few minutes to kind of highlight a few things, if you don't mind.
go for it.
First off, folks, we have posted on July 2nd. Check it out. Ann and Ashley are doing their freestyle stroke technique clinic at Emmy Lyons YMCA. The event is up there. Register. I'm telling you, for an hour and a half with Ann and Ashley, they will improve your stroke efficiency so that your next race, you're much, much better. Two top-notch professionals in the world of swimming, and they will help you. And so take a check. It's $60 for the session. Believe me, that is well worth it. Everyone that has done this clinic has raved about Ann and Ashley and their ability to help them with their stroke. So check that out on July 2nd. July 8th, this is very important. We have the CTC Mojo Joint Triathlon Transition Clinic at Caesars Creek, okay, early in the morning on Saturday. We have Mr. Aaron Geiser. Coach Aaron Geiser is going to be there. We got PJ Arling. We have Bruce and Robin Williams. We have Maria Krechek. We have Perry Hawk from Mojo. I'm telling you, folks, take advantage. If you want to have a safe, Cindy register. Don't forget Cindy, Coach. Don't forget Cindy. Believe me, it is well worth it to come to this clinic, and we can talk about that a little bit more in the program. However,
well, I want to say
register.
last year we got out participated by Mojo. So since they can't tune into this, I want to put we got to do a better job of it's we're the primary host of it, and we got outnumbered last year.
I know, because I guess they just want to be better at transitions, Coach. I don't know what to say.
Saving that time.
You're going to talk about that. I know. But I'm telling you, folks, you got in this club, you have some members, like I said, Cindy, Maria, PJ, the Bruce and Robin Williams, Coach Aaron Geiser. Hey, if you want to get really good at transition, you couldn't have picked a better group of people to help you. And so sign up, come on out. It's $10. No, I mean, seriously, register for this clinic. We got, if I'm not mistaken, Coach, we can take up to 30 people. And so we're looking forward to that. Also, we have an open water swim tomorrow at Brian Wagner's. Check the event. We also have another open water swim on Saturday, put on by Mr. Matt Philly. And that's been posted. That is out at East Fork Lake. Brian Wagner's swim is at Hidden Valley Lake. So, you know, you want to get some open water swim practice in, take advantage of those things. We also got Sarah Mingus has her famous Thursday night ride. And I believe there might be some other rides posted for the weekend. I haven't checked, but please check the events. Can't stress that enough. Last item I want to talk about here, Coach, real quick, for the benefit of everyone. If you have a training event, you and a buddy get together and you decide you want to put on a bike ride, you want to do an open water swim, you want to run track or run hill repeats, and you want to invite every member of CTC, let them know about when and where your event's going to be because you want to train with others. Don't hesitate to reach out to myself or to some of the admins. Now, we have posted out there who are these people that can create these events in our Facebook page so that every member gets an invite, and then you might see an increase in participation at your event. That's if you want to, okay? So take advantage of the fact that we have some people out there willing to help you post your training event for you. So, Coach, is there anything on your front that you think we need to highlight at this point? I'm trying to think here.
No, we should probably say I do not have access to Facebook anymore. So
thank you.
You're
at the mercy.
I would have it up on a screen and be able to see your guys' comments and questions. That's not the case because somebody decided to infiltrate my account and me out, and I've decided not to hop back on that nonsense.
Understood, Coach. Understood. Well, Rebecca's on. Hello, Rebecca.
Hello.
Welcome. Rebecca, that's who I see right now. And well, let's just move on here, Coach. Oh, I tell you, I'm sorry about your Facebook hack there, buddy. You know, I know you like to go in there and hit likes all the time. You know, I look forward to when I get, Coach Aaron Geiser liking something that I did. But anyway.
Did that ever happen?
No, of course not. It's like giving you a ride on in Zwift. What? Or a kudo.
You can give me one. It's just reciprocation.
That or Strava. Well, you know, I gave up giving you a thumbs up in Strava. I mean, you know.
I can't even tell you the last time I opened that application.
I tell you, that's just terrible. All right. Anyway. All right, folks, let's launch into some stuff here. And we got a question for Aaron. And as you have questions, folks, please post them, okay? This is for your benefit. Aaron's very knowledgeable, as we all know. And if you also, just a reminder, if you post prior to Coach's Corner, it may be a topic that Aaron can do some research on and give you something a little bit more comprehensive. So take advantage of the fact that I'm sorry.
I haven't had to yet, but
that's right. Well, we know what to ask about peanut butter. All right, Coach. I'm going to hit on this one first because I think, you know, in the light of the great talent that we have on the transition clinic, help us understand, if I'm new to this sport, why is it that you would highly recommend that I attend this transition clinic that CTC and Mojo is putting on? Why do I care? I'm good at biking, I'm good at swimming, I'm good at running. What the heck, who cares about transition? Right?
Let me cut off the thought of it being new people. I've seen people that have done like 15 Ironmans that still take 10 and 15 or 20 minutes in transitions.
Well, I do a sprint and I take 20. Anyway, go ahead, Coach. Why
right there? But no, if you are new, you might not recognize, but your transition times are part of your overall time. In this case, that means that each second inside transition, yes, there are some transitions that you have a quarter of a mile run or even a half mile run from the exit of the water into transition a bike or T1. Same thing goes for T2, but on most of these, they are fairly close to the exit of the water. And this is just valuable time. And the longer that you spend or the more clunky that you are in that transition, you're just giving time back, because most people do work very, very hard to improve their swim times, to improve their bike time, to improve their run fitness. All these things we spend a great amount of time on, but the one where you can lose 4, 5, even 8 minutes more can be in that transition, in both of those transitions. And when you have 2 of them, you can lose like large amounts of time very quickly, just not being efficient or setting your station up well and allowing it to be effective for you to grab your stuff and get to that next principle. So what we went over last year, which would be a very similar process to this year, is really dialing into how to set up your bike in T1 to make sure when you come out of the water, you are prepared to grab and get everything that you need before whatever distance bike that you are racing that particular day. We will provide you with a straight lined approach of how to get everything that you need in a small space, allowing you to have everything there so you don't forget anything, but also grab it in a very quick manner and get out on the bike. We will also provide you with some of the rules of, before you touch your bike, you have to have your helmet on and you have to have the clip clipped. So we are going to go over some things that might actually save you from a disqualification or losing time potentially. Then we do the exact same thing for the run aspect of it. We will advise you, even if you have a 2-station or a point-to-point event, we are going to tell you, and that is if the swim and T1 are at a different place than the bike in and exit run T2 are. So those are considered a point-to-point. They are 2 completely separate locations. We will advise information on how to set up for those. And then we will also provide you how to set up where it is a dual T1, T2 setup. So therefore you are not going out of your space, making the person next to you frustrated with, man, this person set up a lawn chair and everything else.
A lot.
Our goal is just to try to make you more efficient and more proficient at transitions. And the great thing about the collection of individuals that we've brought together is there's a lot of life experiences. There are a lot of race experience there. There's going to be a lot of exchanging of knowledge of whether they've been through or we've been through the experience. Maybe they've heard that experience. There's going to be a lot of sharing of knowledge and information to just allow you to really be better at something that is really free time. You know, it's, if you can get in and out in 1, 2, 3 minutes, you're gonna set yourself up to take and eat time away from other people. If you're there for 5, 8, 10, 15, people are eating that time away from you. And that could be the difference between having a tremendous day or maybe falling off of the podium or missing your goal for that. Even if you're not competing for a podium, let's say that you're just competing for a PB or a good time. These are areas where time can really start to chunk and be lost. And what we're going to try to do is help you prevent losing that valuable time with our transition clinic.
And if I may, Coach, one thing that we're going to stress at this clinic, and this is a good thing, is it's practice. You can go. It's not just one time you practice. Yeah, you practice. The coach, every group of individuals will have a transition coach assigned to them. That coach will then provide you feedback on what they observe. Then you can go out and do it again and practice that. And I think that repetition, if you want, will be of great benefit. Because I mean, I have to agree with you. I think a lot of times people just think of transition as, putting on your shoes and getting on your bike, but there's a lot more to it. That's what impressed me with the clinic last year, was the tips and tricks that I learned from all those individuals, and from you, regarding everything from how to get on a wetsuit, get a wetsuit off, and so forth. From your experience, because you had mentioned you've seen a lot of experienced athletes really slow it down at the transit. What are some of the, maybe think of one or two real common mistakes that you see?
Sitting down.
Sitting down.
I mean,
interesting.
It just depending on if you're sitting down in T1 or T2, especially T2, you've just spent a decent amount of time on the bike. There's that opportunity of you just kind of stopping, and you're a muscle here, there seizing up, and then you can't get up. The other time, it's just you're going to be more efficient and save time if you stand up. If you sit down and try to pull your wetsuit off, you're also not able to really get a whole great deal of momentum and be able to utilize some of the forces that you possess trying to get a wetsuit off, and a wetsuit off efficiently and quickly in that case. Because it's almost like you're trying to pull something that is super, super tight. It is now, your skin is somewhat clammy. That then is just two things that are very, very complicated to try. It's not like you're just taking off a pair of pants. You're taking off something that's almost suctioned to your body. So it needs to be taken off with a little bit of force, and you can't necessarily get that force when you've sat down and are trying to pull things off. It's you stepping on, like pulling your suit down, stepping on the legs and yanking your legs out. That's going to be the most efficient. So sitting down is a really, really big
time killer.
time loss that I see. Also, just not having a well put together space. So if you go to set up your transition and you got crap littered all over the place, it's going to be a heck of a lot harder. I mean, especially when you get out of the water and you're running anyways, there's a little bit of that mental fog. You're not super dialed into the moment. And if you got stuff stretched out underneath your bike or along that space that you get, and you got to go and pick up something here and pick up something there, you're more likely to just lose a lot of time and maybe even forget something. So having a unmanicured transition space is also probably the second one that I would throw out there.
Okay. And I have to ask, I'm just curious, for you personally, do you wear socks and do you wear gloves on your bike?
I do wear socks, and I traditionally do not wear gloves unless it's just a little bit chillier coming out of the water. And I mean, well, I can get up some speed on the bike. So my extremities, I don't like to be super, super cold. If I need to grab a straw for a water bottle or whatever it might be, I like to have a little bit of dexterity in my hands. But for the most part, I'm a glove individual, but I for some reason, not wearing socks is just disgusting. and I know it's faster. I get it, but it's just the feel of it just gives me the creepy.
Understood, Coach. I just was curious because I know that's time, but you also it's psychological, right? If you didn't wear socks, you may not feel the same on the bike. So I can
True, but I
see that.
roll my socks down a little bit, so it does not take a whole heck of a lot of time.
Okay.
I'm
That's a good trick.
I'm investing a
Mhm.
couple of seconds on just putting the sock on. And
Okay.
it's not like if the seam is not super aligned, I'm sitting there trying to make these micro adjustments. You just
Okay.
roll it down, yank it up, pull it up, get the heck on.
And I know now we're not going to go over this in the transition clinic because I know it takes a lot of practice, but I'm assuming do you cleat your shoes and your clips on your bike and roll?
I've actually, depending on the course,
Okay.
I have gone different responses just because I have chosen different shoes for different events. So
Okay.
if I'm in more of a climbing, I sometimes like to just go with cycling shoes in that case.
Mhm.
They aren't always as easy to get on, and especially the ones that I use are specialized that have almost like a sock inside of them. So if you're trying to mount them on the bike, it's a little bit more complicated. So those I would be more apt to not. But if I was going to if it was a fairly flat course, I still have some fairly rigid, tight, like tri shoes, but I would utilize those more on a flat course, and I would tend to have them go like already mounted.
Okay, cool. Well, let me check real quick here, Coach. See if Sean Walsh is on. Interesting comment here from El Presidente. I find 20 minutes in transition is perfect.
Hey, he's one of the ones that I was referring to.
I was just getting ready to ask. Is that yeah? You find out how he did in New Zealand, right? You look at his transition time.
We'll say 5 is kind of the where we're shooting for. 20. That's 15 minutes of lost time.
That sounds to me like Mr. Walsh is having a martini before he gets on his bike. I tell you.
I mean, some people could probably down 2 in that time.
Oh man, that's just bad, Coach. I tell you. Sean Walsh, you should know better than that. I tell you. All right, Coach. Thank you again, folks. Sign up July 8th. Worth investing some time in practicing your transition. As Cindy Register says, why wouldn't you practice? You practice your bike, you practice your swims, you practice your runs. Transition, as the coach indicates, is just as important. Why wouldn't you practice that? So thank you very much. All right, Coach, I want to get into something here that it's interesting. What is illegal when it comes to racing and training for triathlon? I know drafting is illegal for most races, but are there drugs that I should avoid? Is blood doping illegal? Is caffeine illegal? Where would I find information on what is allowed versus not allowed when it comes to racing and training and triathlon? And, you and I've had some discussion, and all the time we've had Coach's Corner, this issue's never come up, but I think it's appropriate to bring it up now. So what are your thoughts on that, Coach? What can you educate us?
Well, the first thing I'll say is a little over a month and a half ago, we had a professional triathlete that was caught for EPO, which is erythropoietin, which is a hormone that it's in the body, but it's an oxygen carrier, so it helps red blood cells and it fuels the muscle pretty much. But you can actually inject this and it elevates those levels to make it an unfair playing field in that particular case.
Now, was that an injection prior to racing or during training?
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
You can't do it. And there is a laundry list of all these things. And I know there's probably some people out there that are going to hear the word pro and think, well, then that doesn't apply to me. But
good point.
Here is the key. When you are signing up for, especially from a triathlon, if you are signing up by a USATA or USA triathlon event, whether it be a duathlon, triathlon, a aqua bike,
What?
any of these things that
Yeah.
fall under the umbrella. Also, we are talking about marathons. There is the International Association of Athlete Federation that oversees those type of runs. So it could be a 5K, 10K. So this kind of falls under all of these organizations. All look at what is WADA and USADA. And what WADA is the World Anti-Doping Organization or Association. And the US is the United States Anti-Doping Association. So these don't fall under, if you're playing basketball or football or baseball, these do not fall, they do not regulate those organizations, but they do oversee USA Track and Field. They do oversee USA Cycling. They do oversee USA Triathlon. They do fall under marathons. And there is going to WADA or going to USADA is going to give you the running list of all the banned substances. But
I'm very sorry, Coach. Did you
Go
say
ahead.
USDA?
USADA.
ADA. Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you.
And if I said that wrong, I feel
No. I just want to
apologize,
make
but
sure, for our audience, our
United
acronym.
States Anti-Doping Association.
Okay.
So USADA.
Okay, thank you.
So this list is pretty robust.
Mhm.
It is, of course, main things like steroids, like EPO, but it does extend out to testosterone. It does fall out to IVs. It does fall out to a lot of other things that you need to be informed of. And it's important to say that let's say that you are in competition, out of competition, you cannot utilize testosterone unless you get, and I will go into this in a second, but unless you get a TUI, you cannot use IVs in and out of competition because this is seen as a recovery aid. I'll go into a little bit more detail on that one as well. Not saying that if it's a health issue, I'm not saying that they're not healthy. I'm not saying that a doctor might not or might prescribe these for you. But if you do not take the proper steps to get approved, you are still failing the doping expectation. So when I say a TUI, it is a therapeutic exemption utilization. What this is you go through either the USADA or you go through WADA. They have a TUE, so a TUI is what it's typically called, but it's a therapeutic exemption utilization. I think I said TUE, it's TEU. So it's you can file that out. And what you need to do is provide the information to get approved to utilize these things. You're not going to get approved to use IVs just because there's no medical reason for you to be able to continuously take these on a regular basis. There could be situations post-race where that medical group that is watching the race could make a decision that we need to do this for a life-saving situation. Your electrolytes are off. They need to do something medically induced to save yourself or save your life in that case.
Thank you. Let me interrupt you right there. Yeah. I am glad you brought that up because I have heard so many times that a lot of times after Ironman events, people go to the medical tent to get an IV like it's a common thing. But I'm glad you clarified it has to be a medical reason.
And
Right.
and it was
Okay.
later in time, it was given out a lot easier. It's not given out as easily now because
Okay.
but in that scenario, they're looking at it as this is a critical situation,
Right.
and this is going to save this or potentially save this individual
I
from
see.
harm.
Okay.
To utilize it in a training block, to utilize it just for the giggles, these are 100% illegal. And this is, I have a big concern with places like Restore and Hydration Station coming on the scene because they're not informing their clientele. And when you go and do this, whether it's for a hangover, whether you're using it for a whether you're using it to recover or get vitamins infused in them to hit your bloodstream, no matter what, if you're going to compete, that is doping. So I want to make sure that everybody is aware that if you go to these places, there's no exemption on that. You're just doing something that is breaking the rules. That is just the point blank scenario. And
that's in you mentioned WADA and US. That's all part.
USADA in that case. It's
Okay.
it's not something where you're going to get a 2E to get.
Okay.
Your therapeutic exemption there's not existent.
Okay.
But if
Mhm.
you have, let's say, low testosterone or other things like that, that might, or you have a medically diagnosed condition where you have to take something that falls on one of these lists of banned substance. If you go in and put that therapeutic utilization exemption, what you are going to do is apply for that. They will look at that and then they will give you a response of this is approved or it's not. And then they will
Okay.
give a reason of why that is. There is a board that looks at each one of those, but if you are prescribed something by your doctor and you don't go through that process and you are taking something either knowingly or unknowingly that is on that list, you are doping. And it's
so if let's say my doctor prescribes an inhaler because I have asthma or something like that, and there may be a chemical or a drug within that inhaler, and I didn't go through that process. Okay.
It's even certain inhalers are going to fall on that list. And it might be where if you take one puff once a week or 3 times a week on that inhaler, you fall under the number that is required to actually go through an exemption on that. But if you are utilizing it 3 or 4 times a day,
I see.
you could fall under the amount that falls into a banned substance. You would need to go through a 2E in that situation.
Coach, what about, we see this all the time on NFL, these players on the sidelines sucking down oxygen. Is that considered?
Oxygen is not illegal. And again, the NFL, MLB, NHL, NBA are all, they're not subject to what, like the World Anti-Doping Association, unless they're playing in, like, NBA players could be under that window or under that umbrella if they play in the Olympics.
I see.
Major League Baseball players might when they play in the Olympics. Football, we don't have to worry about it because it's not a sport that falls under the Olympics anyways. But in season, or when you see individuals, like, you could walk into one of those IV places and see a Bengals player hooked up to one of these. Doesn't matter because they're not under the same organization that you are. And again, this goes for individuals that are professionals and aren't professionals.
Right.
We are, those of us that are competing as age group divisional athletes still have to live and abide by these doping rules. And I want to again just clarify, that even in the IV, if you think that you're just having infused vitamins, this again is illegal because it is a speed path to get those vitamins into the cells, and they're highly absorbable in that state. It's seen as an unfair advantage of recovery. Completely different scenario if you take a vitamin D pill compared to if you had it IV'd into your body.
Interesting.
So any IV is illegal.
Interesting. Okay. What about coffee?
Caffeine, as you asked earlier, caffeine is not a banned substance. It can be seen as a performance enhancer, but it is not.
Okay, Sean Walsh wanted me to make sure that question got asked because he said
it got asked and it got shared. It is not illegal. So again, I do want to specify that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that some of these things are unhealthy,
right?
Because they might be something that will help provide you health, but you are every athlete has to abide by the rules that we all follow, and you have an opportunity to apply to get exemption for these. But if you don't and you continue to take these things, I will just say you are cheating and you would be considered a doper.
Okay.
And at any point you could, and I'm not joking about this,
right.
You could lose one. It's devastated people's lives when they've been hit with one of these bans, but you can be banned from competing with the sport, and it can also affect your professional career.
Okay. Thank you for bringing that up, because that was a question that Sean Walsh had asked. He said, how severe and far-reaching are the consequences for athletes that are caught using banned illegal substances? I think you've answered that question. And so as an age grouper, non-professional, I could technically be said Ironman or USAT could say, Mitch Baker, you're banned from competing.
So the 2019 Ironman World Championship admitted to taking 2 IVs, one in the lead up to Ironman Texas, and also in the lead up into Ironman Kona World Championship. He admitted to the using of that after he had won Kona. He got completely wiped off of being a winner that year, and he got banned for 2 years.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure he also lost his job.
Okay.
So
what about me, Mr. Amateur? I mean,
no, that was an amateur.
Oh, my apologies.
That was an age grouper that won the overall age grouper.
So that was Ironman. Okay, but let's say I don't do Ironman, I do USAT.
No. This guy got banned for 2 years from any type of competition.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Okay, so that helps me and others understand. There are pretty severe consequences. Okay.
Right. He got banned from any competition for 2 years.
Wow. 2 years. Okay. Excellent. That's great information.
And more likely he's also, when coming back, he will, because part of his was when we were going through 2020, 2021. So I think he is still under that banned list, but when he comes back, he'll also probably be subject to more testing and more questioning. And I mean, at least he ended up telling the truth, but individuals out there right now are probably doing this and just not saying it, and they know that they're doing it wrong, or maybe they're not doing it wrong, but this is the information we wanted to pass on to allow people to know. If you weren't in the know, now you're in the know, and if you were doing this, you need to
consider the consequences. Yeah. Coach, where can you said I guess, are there some websites where would I just go to WADA and
I mean, there's some sites I can go to read.
Those would be the two that I would go. I would go directly to those sites.
Okay.
And we can include, I'm going to have to rely on you, but I can send them to you and you would just have to post them in the
would
chat.
you do that? I would
have-
appreciate, I think our members would appreciate that.
Yeah, I can
like,
100% provide that. And
okay.
it's going to show you a lot. I mean, those,
Yeah.
but often they say, hey, if you want to call us, if you want to email us, if you want to send us what you are taking, we will give you, okay, this is the procedure that you need to go down, or you don't need to worry about it.
Well, I'm just glad coffee is okay. What about Pop-Tarts? No, don't go there. Don't go there.
There's a lot of chemicals in there, but I don't.
Well, yeah, you're right. I wouldn't be shocked if that was banned. All right, very good, Coach. Thank you very much. Like I said, I had no idea. I mean, I used to just. It seemed like it was a common, and again, misperception on my part that it seemed like everybody went and got an IV after a major race, like it was just a common thing to do. Or, like the NFL guy sucking down oxygen on the sidelines. But from what you're describing, hey, heads up, all right? This is
oxygen
different.
Again is a natural,
Right.
That doesn't fall under it. But yes, these other.
Have you ever seen a triathlon? I'm just curious. Have you ever seen that at a race where a triathlete
I mean, I'm sure that the EMS does have.
No, I mean, during it, there in my transition spot, I'm going to put a bottle of oxygen. Not that I know.
I've never seen it. I don't know. That might be hard to get into transition.
Can you imagine? I can
that
only
will not
imagine.
be gone over in the transition clinic.
Oh, I don't.
The
No,
other
it
thing
will
that I
not.
should also say is that Ironman, specifically in the triathlon community, at the beginning of 2023, also followed the what was it? The IAAF, which is that International Athletic or Association of Athletics Federation. They are the ones that put specific shoe approvals on USA Track and Field and any type of 5K, 10K, half marathon, and marathon. At the beginning of 2023, Ironman followed suit with that particular rule book. So there are a list of illegal shoes out there now as well.
Wow.
So there's not, to be completely honest, most individuals are not going to be able to get their hands on, because a lot of them are more prototype shoes that are banned. But there are a couple of shoes out there that are banned for Ironman events, and that would be 70.3 and full distance, and also their 5150 races, based on the stack height and making sure that there's only one carbon plate, not two carbon plates, all these other things. But the stack height can't be over 40 mils. And there's just a couple of training shoes out there that are above that 40 mil threshold that would, if you tried to run them in one of those events, again, you would be running in an illegal shoe and could get DQ'd.
Does Ironman provide the names of those particular shoes and everything, or is it
again, you'd have to go to, I'll send you that one as well.
Okay. I had no idea that there were shoe factors. I mean, I know they check your bike. I didn't know they checked your shoes.
Well, and again, it started at the beginning of this year.
Yeah. Okay.
Because
interesting.
There's a little bit of a stink of Gustav last year was running in a prototype shoe when he won Kona that had like a 48 mil sole on the bottom of the shoe.
Yeah.
Which, if he was competing this year in world championships in that particular shoe, it would be disqualified.
What is it about that, if I may? I'm just mechanic. I'm trying to understand why that makes such a big difference.
Super soft material. They can also kind of build in, like, they could work with how the carbon plate sits within the mill drop of that shoe to provide a greater propulsion or a greater return on
Oh.
energy.
Okay.
So
Wow.
with these particular rules, it's just seen that it's also trying to somewhat limit the development of these super shoes.
Okay.
So they kind of operated under some things where the shoe has to be on the market for sale for a certain amount of time. So it has to be a shoe that's available to the public, not just something that was built for that one particular. It might be built for that foot, but the shoe is still kind of able to be purchased by you, myself, anybody else. They're just trying to somewhat control the shoe development community from just going crazy and making shoes that might almost start to run for you.
Okay. Wow. There's hope for me yet. John Walsh, I may be out running someday with a super shoe. That chance. No.
See Frank, we'll get you fitted up. We'll get you rolling.
No. Don't waste your time. All right. I don't see any more questions here, Coach, but I do have one for you. Let me pull that up. This is one of my favorites. Yeah, I don't know if Cameron Walsh is on, but if she is, I think this is what question she would have posted.
If she was out of town, she might be so used to time change. She might be asleep by now.
Well, that's right. She's overseas.
Well, she's
All
back.
right, Coach, here, this is, well, I get asked this question a lot. This is interesting. And I think you've touched on this in the past, but it's worth repeating. No pun intended. Why should I do hill work? All my races are on flat or near flat terrain. I can't stand Mitch Baker, and he leads all the hill rides. Totally not good. So why should I do hill work?
First, I want to point out to everybody that Mitch wrote this question. So he must have been really mad at himself.
No, I was terrible day, Coach. Anyway,
strength. It's going to develop strength. It will also, it can take some stress off of certain points of your run form, which is a positive from that. Typically when you operate hills, you're not getting the same extension, and you're getting work on the hamstrings, but you're not putting the same amount of stress on the hamstrings just due to the incline. But the biggest thing is you are going to develop strength, and strength is always going to translate on hills, and it's also going to translate on flats. So to put some time in on hills, whether it be on the bike, whether it be in the run, it's very, very important, because it's going to develop strength and endurance, which you will see returns on in flats and on hills. So it's not, you're working one thing to get a benefit or two.
Thank you. I appreciate that, because I know it's interesting how often I hear, "Oh, I'm doing Maryland, so I don't need to do hills."
And you still should do hills.
You still should do hills. And
speaking for somebody that has coached somebody that's won that event, or at least the 70.3, we trained heavy gear work and we trained hills. So I mean, it's just something that translates. You're going to be stronger, your endurance is going to be better, and it's going to translate on flat courses.
Yeah. And just to clarify, when we say hills and strength work, that could be both outside as well as via Zwift, on that Zwift work that you do.
Yeah.
Or is there a big difference?
Well, understand so definitely on a treadmill, you can incline on a treadmill, you can also run. That's easily done. I still feel on the indoor, yes, we can work heavy gear work, and we're getting more of a neuromuscular recruitment aspect in heavy gear work. But there's going to be a change still. If you do a bunch of hills supposedly in Zwift, but you don't have a kick or climb where it's going to adjust the angle of the front, or if you don't lift the front end of your bike. When you get outdoors and you start to climb, there is going to be an angle change that is going to take place. So if you technically are riding Zwift on a flat bike, but you're going up out to Zwift, yes, you are going to have to put down more power for longer periods of time, but it's not necessarily associating a hill climb in that, because it's not changing the angle of your bike frame and where you are positioning yourself and driving through the pedals in that sense. You will get neuromuscular recruitment. And what that means is that typically when you cycle, you're going to utilize the same muscle structures. You're going to use very similar muscles. In time, when you hold higher wattage, you're going to burn that normal muscle structure out. So it's going to recruit other muscles within the quadriceps or other muscles within the quadriceps or hamstrings to help you continue to be able to pedal in that case. Those muscles are going to tire out a little bit quicker, and then they're going to come back over to the ones that you were initially using. This is considered neuromuscular recruitment, and that is good, because the more that you test those muscles outside of the normal muscle fibers that are used in a cycle, they will come in and help on normal cycling processes. So in this sense, if you're doing the same thing, you get to a point where those other muscle fibers need to be recruited, they start working, these other ones are recharging, but these other ones are now working, they're getting stronger. They pulled in and now understand, okay, I can be called in at another time. Then when they tucker out, you go back to the first initial, and then those start to fire again. The other ones are starting to recharge again. Then you pull back over. But over the time that you consistently do this particular work, what you are going to find is that those muscle fibers that used to get recruited will now start to help out with the normal muscle development in your normal cycle pedaling. So this is going to provide you with additional energy. This is going to provide you with additional speed. This is going to provide you with that speed that we talked about on hill climbs and on flats. You're going to have more muscles firing to do the same effort, which is going to make you more efficient in that process.
Excellent.
Hopefully my hand diagram also kind of helps with that.
Whoa! Yeah, I could. We're all going to be doing this now. But I think that's great, because it's interesting how many I can't tell you how many times I hear from people, oh, all my races are flat, therefore I'm not going to do anything. Which
what I would tell them is find a hilly course, man.
Really? Oh, let me check here, Coach, real quick. Let me see if we got any more questions other than Sean Walsh giving us a 20-minute transition. All right. 1 second, please. All right. All right.
We'll remind everybody that I did lose access to my Facebook, so this is not as smooth as it normally is.
Well, we're doing pretty good, Coach. We're doing pretty good. All right. Well, that's all I have. And I don't see any other questions being posted at this time. Coach, is there any kind of wrap up you got for us, or anything, words of wisdom that you're seeing out there from a training perspective, tip or tidbit that would help all of us? I know
Hillz. I think that you already said that, right?
Well,
one thing I will say,
they got to hear from you, because when I say it, it's like, Baker.
One thing I'll add to this process or this conversation is that we are going into the heat of our season. So you are going to be going through a process of heat acclimation. In this phase, we've talked about it before, but for females, it takes a little bit longer. For males, it's anywhere from 7 to 10 days when the effects start to take place, and it's anywhere from 14 to 21 days for females. So it does take a little bit longer for our female friends out there. But understanding while you are going through this process, it's good to expose yourself to heat roughly 4 days a week. What you want to do is try to get your body temperature up above 100.4 degrees Fahrenheit or 38 degrees Celsius for my metric friends.
Mm-hmm.
You want to accomplish this elevation of internal core body temperature of 100.4 for above 20 minutes to get benefits. Now, if you are doing this in a passive way, which when I say passive, we can get that from a hot tub, we can get that from a sauna. If you do utilize those two, what I'm going to advise is not to drink water while you are in the therapy, because what that water or what that liquid is going to do is come into the system at a cooler temperature than 100.4 degrees. It's going to lower your body temperature and it's going to delay the ability of you being able to hold and withstand that 20 minutes. So if you are going in a passive manner, you want to do more than 20 minutes. You do not want to drink liquid that is cooler than the temperature that you're trying to maintain. And you want to build from that 20 minutes up to 40 minutes. You want to start the exposure up to how much you can handle. So don't feel like you need to go in and sit in a sauna for 20 minutes. If you can only handle 5, start at 5, build on top of that weekly. And try to get up to the 20, and then know that when you get to 20, that's when the benefits really start to affect. And then you want to build that up to 40 minutes. Exposure to in the developmental process phase, you want to expose yourself at least 4 days a week to this heat acclimation. And then once you are heat acclimated, you can maintain by spacing 3 days out through the course of the week.
Okay. Wow.
Now, if you're doing this in an outdoor scenario, roughly, if you are going to consume water, I tend to advise that you extend it past 35 minutes because, again, same process. I want you to take water because I don't want you to go in a dehydrated state.
Right.
But I would also not choose heat acclimation activities as high intensity activities until you get heat acclimated. So what I mean by that is if you are not heat acclimated, I'm not going to go out and advise that you go do 200, 400 repeats. I'm not going to advise you to go out and do outdoor race pace efforts in the middle of the heat, because one, there's a great deal of stress to that workout itself. There's a greater amount of stress that's going to be added when you're doing that at high or extreme temperatures. And we want to try in that early stage to do these on just your aerobic easy efforts.
Okay. That makes perfect. I'm glad you brought
And
that
when
up.
you're going through that phase, also, I would recommend, so typically, as I said, 7 to 10 days for males. It typically takes 21 to 24 days for the full effect to start. Actually, I should say 14 to 21 days for males to get the full effect of heat acclimation. So in that, let's say 21-day period, you want to decrease the overall workload or stress from workouts. For females, as I said, it's 14 to 21 days for the first stage, but the full extent is 21 to 28 days for females to get. So what I recommend is in that 28 days, if we do it in a controlled manner, we are slightly decreasing the overall workload over that timeline as well. We do not want to, we are going to go through added stress from heat. We are going to go to a certain amount of stress of the workout. If we combine the two, there's a greater amount of stress.
Right.
So I tend to, for my athletes, we'll do our harder efforts indoors in a controlled environment. We'll get that exposure outside in a little bit of an easier effort. And we try to hit that 4 times a week while we're going through that process of heat acclimation.
More like a zone 2 ride.
Yeah.
Probably if you're outside.
Zone 2. Yep.
Zone 2. Okay, great.
No, that's good. I'm glad you brought that up because I know that came up before, but this time of year is definitely worth it, bringing it up again because we're going to start getting into that, especially
Yep.
in July.
And not
Yeah.
everybody's. I've been going out at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock for my runs the last couple of weeks because that's just what I do during this time, and it has me kind of accelerate the process. I do think that my career as a baseball player, playing mostly in the Southeast, has aided in my heat acclimation.
Yeah, I would say, especially.
So
Oh, good
yeah,
job.
I just go out and try to get it done as quickly as possible.
Good deal. All right, let me check one more time here, Coach. See if we have any questions. Nope, doesn't look like it. That's okay. Sean Walsh. He says, go buy peanut butter. All right. Well, folks, again, speaking of Sean Walsh, let's not forget, this is CTC, folks. Check the events. If I'm not mistaken, I believe Mr. Walsh is next Wednesday. It's a great program. He's going to have 3 guest panel. I believe they're all relatively new to CTC, Coach. So I'm looking forward to that. That'll be a great show. Sean's doing a great job with that. Again, in response, a lot of people wanted to, get a little bit more idea of what's going on with CTC and also what's up with some of the members. So that's a good thing. So look for Sean Walsh's This is CTC. He already had Aaron and I on, so all the worst part is over.
Only goes up from there.
It only goes up from there. I think Elizabeth and Elizabeth Heimbach and Stephen Pear, I thought they did a great job when Sean had them on last month. Heck of a lot better than you and I.
No bar to get over. When you can step over it rather than jump over it, it makes life a lot easier.
It does. Coach, thank you as always. Full of good stuff. And ladies and gentlemen, this will be posted on Facebook. It's obviously going to be there, but we are also going to put it on our YouTube channel. Please watch it at your leisure and never hesitate to reach out to Aaron if you have any question about triathlon or training or whatever. I've always found him to be very receptive and helpful. So take advantage of the fact that CTC does have a coach and he does an awesome job. So thank you again, Aaron.
And you can reach out to me on Instagram.
At
Try a Geiser. And also, I won't throw out my email address just because since it's going on YouTube, I don't want to. But I did get compromised on some of you might have a email address that is no longer in use. So if you can reach out and find me.
Okay. Well, and if necessary, they can write to me, Mitchell Baker, odade12@yahoo.com, and I'd be more than happy to forward your question to Aaron if that'll help.
Now that this is on YouTube, I hope you don't get all.
Believe me, nobody pays attention to me.
I didn't think I was worth paying attention to either, but obviously somebody thought differently.
Oh, man. Well, Coach, thank you again as always, and looking forward to see you on some Hillz. Okay.
See you tomorrow morning, my man.
All right. Right on, people. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye.